Good morning, everybody. You are currently listening to a Tall Girls podcast hosted by a tall girl named India. I hope everyone who's tuning in today is doing super fantastic. Before I get into this episode, I do want to say make sure you're following me on my socials at a Tall Girls podcast on Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest so that you can stay up to date on all of the latest podcast episodes and catch a glimpse of my everyday life. Also, feel free to leave me a review and let me know how tall you are. I'm genuinely curious. Everything is going to be linked in the description. St. Patty's Day officially passed this past weekend. Well, by the time this episode is up, I'm actually recording this on St. Patty's Day, so happy St. Patty's Day. How many times did I say St. Patty's in the past 30 seconds? Anyways, I think the parade for that was Saturday, so yesterday, or is it today? I have no clue. I just know that it was sometime this past weekend, but I've been so dialed in that I wasn't even aware of that. So I'm going to try to see if I can watch it elsewhere after the fact. Also, happy spring. Well, for the people who are, is it the Northern Hemisphere? The Western Hemisphere? The Northern Hemisphere. It's the Northern Hemisphere. See, I'm going back to my middle school science days. For the people in the Northern Hemisphere, because in the Southern, it would be fall, right? Anyways, for the people who are on the half of the planet that are currently entering spring, happy spring. I know that the first day of spring was the earlier part of this week, so super excited for nicer weather. Gosh, so many things are happening over these past couple of days. It feels like time is going so fast yet so slow. It's going fast in certain areas but slow in other areas. And it's funny because I don't really want time to speed up because I want to enjoy the moment I'm currently in, but I'm just starting to feel just a little bit slight burnout from this past semester, and I'm just telling myself I only have till May. It's only 2 more months. Well, a month and a half, 2 more months. Don't make me do this much math right now. I only have till May. It's currently mid-March and I'm almost there. So, anywho, today we are talking about self-sabotaging behaviors. And honestly, this shows up in many ways. I think that we as humans, we sabotage ourselves often throughout our life, whether we are conscious about it or unconscious about it. And it could show up as procrastination, and I know some of y'all are familiar with her, staying in a situation you shouldn't be in, criticizing yourself. And they do say that people with a low self-esteem tend to partake in self-sabotaging behaviors, but in my opinion, it doesn't really matter what your confidence level is. You could probably be one of the most confident people that your friends, your family, your peers, whoever knows, and you still probably sabotage yourself at times. I do argue that your confidence level can affect how bad the self-sabotaging behavior is, or the severity of that behavior, and how often you do it. So in regards to being tall, your confidence level relating to your height can affect these self-sabotaging behaviors. Now, what does that mean? To the tall girlies, you may not realize it, but your height insecurity may be what's keeping you from living your best life. Let me tell you why. Have you ever wanted to do something like a hobby or try on a piece of clothing, but you stopped yourself because you're too tall? That's a prime example of you sabotaging yourself and limiting yourself because of your personal views of your height. And there are other ways that tall women, tall people can be practicing self-sabotaging behaviors like slouching and poor posture, internalizing negative beliefs, negative self-talk, avoiding potential partners because of a height difference, and the list goes on and on and on. And poor posture is probably the worst and hardest because it's very difficult for a tall person to maintain proper posture throughout the day. Like we could say, yeah, stand up tall, stand up straight, but once we gotta sit at a desk or wash some dishes, that proper posture only lasts for 2.5 seconds. Max. Let me tell you, this is probably something that only tall people understand. The awkward kitchen squat. That awkward squat that you only do in the kitchen when you're cutting vegetables or washing dishes because of the low countertops and the low sinks. Probably one of the best leg workouts out there. I highly, highly recommend. There are behaviors that are just hard to control, and I acknowledge that. And I also want to say that I'm not saying that we can do any and everything that we want to do, because that's not necessarily the case. There are just certain things that are harder to do because of your height. But that doesn't mean that you should be making yourself or your height out to be the problem. Personally, what I like to do is reframe the situation. Instead of saying I'm too tall for something, I say the shorts are too short for me, or that hobby is just not made for me, or the table is too low for me. That way, it doesn't seem as though my height is the problem, which it's not. Period. Like, that's pretty much the answer. Everything else is the problem. Sinks and counters are fairly low for us. Some beds just aren't long enough. And don't even get me started on the topic of clothing. There are just a lot of things that aren't made for us, and that's okay. Well, not really. I'ma just say this. You're not too tall to ask that person out on a date. You're not too tall to wear that dress or pair of shorts. And you're not too tall to embrace your uniqueness and stand confidently in your own skin. Your height is just one aspect of you, and it doesn't define your worth, and it doesn't define who you are as a person. And because of that, you shouldn't limit your potential, and you shouldn't just stay on one narrow path because of your height. There are so many opportunities out there. There's so many options to explore. There's so many things to do. And your height or whatever else shouldn't be limiting you from doing those things and accomplishing your goals. And I forgot to say this earlier. Wear the damn heels. Yes, you. I'm talking to you. Wear the heels without hesitation because they look good on you. Our height is not something that we can easily control unless you want to go ahead and pay for that height reduction surgery, if that still exists. But our height is something that we're born with, and instead of seeing all of the bad in it, at least try to combat that with some good things about it, because there are a lot of good things about it. First of all, number one, you have an able body. That's something that a lot of people don't have. You can walk, you can run. I'm assuming you can walk, you can run, you can reach for things. Your body takes care of you. Your body allows you to exist. And then on top of that, having long limbs is probably one of the best things that you can ask for. Yes, we accidentally smack people in the face and trip over our own feet, and we can't find a pair of jeans that easily, but we can walk fast, we can run fast, we can reach for things that are high up without asking people for help, and the list goes on and on. So I just want you to take a moment to appreciate your height and appreciate your body and appreciate where you're at in this moment. Period. So I'm going to end the episode here. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate you. As always, feel free to hit me up on my socials at the Tall Girls Podcast. We could talk about self-sabotaging behaviors. How are we sabotaging ourselves this week? I'm sabotaging myself because I'm procrastinating heavily. I have a lot of things due in the next few weeks, and I'm just waiting till the last minute to do it. And I really shouldn't do it. And you know what? After I'm done recording this, I'm going to get up on that because we can't afford to fail this semester. We're graduating. We're not going to fail this semester. Anyways, I hope you have a good rest of your day, week, month, year, whatever it is to you. And I'll catch you in the next one. Good night and goodbye.